Okay, let's talk about something that's probably made you want to literally chuck your laptop out the nearest window at least once. We are tackling a universal digital frustration today, the absolute clunkiest, most notoriously awful part of online user interfaces.
Quote-unquote, date pickers suck. I mean, it's blunt, but wow, is it true? This is a direct truth pulled from our source material today, and it is something literally everyone who has ever tried to book a flight or, schedule a doctor's appointment can deeply relate to. We all know the pain. Clicking a tiny little arrow 15 times just to get to November of next year, missing the day by a pixel, and having the entire form just completely reset on you.
But what if we just scrapped the whole thing? Our source material features 3 brilliant developers who challenged each other to completely reinvent this broken wheel. And one of them threw out this incredibly bold hypothesis. He said, the best date picker is no date picker at all. He genuinely believed that natural text input, just typing whatever day you want, might entirely replace clicking through those tiny, frustrating calendar grids. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The date picker problem. 2. Meet the competitors. 3. The natural language solution. 4. Putting it to the test. 5. The surprising results. And 6. The ultimate UX lesson. Starting with Part 1. The date picker problem. Basically, why we all hate selecting dates online. Look, the big issue here is that human brains are all wired differently, right? People express dates uniquely. One person might type month, day. Another might write the 14th of March. Or maybe you're just thinking, hey, I need this by next Tuesday. But traditional rigid date pickers force all of those different mindsets into one exact workflow. If you want a date range, you're locked into a frustrating dance of multiple clicks. On top of that, a traditional interface completely lacks context. It has zero clue what you are reading on the page or what you're actually trying to book. And that shared pain point is exactly why our 3 developers decided to scrap everything and start from scratch. Moving to Part 2, Meet the Competitors. 3 developers, 3 unique solutions.
All right, let's look at their lineup and their distinct angles of attack. First up, we have Scott, who built Hot Date. His key feature was this brilliant page scanner. It could actually read the context of the page you were looking at, detect ranges or holidays, and let you just click an intelligent AI button to autofill the field. Super smart. Then there's Wes, with his Date Range Picker. He heavily focused on lightning-fast ghost text completion and extreme typo tolerance. And rounding it out is CJ with the Magic Date Picker, which featured a highly customizable, CSS-themable hybrid approach with a neat side-by-side calendar pop-up.
Part 3. The Natural Language Solution. Teaching a UI to read our minds. Now, what's really interesting here is that despite their completely different designs, all 3 developers relied on one shared philosophy. Typing natural language is vastly superior to clicking, period. But humans make typos, a lot of them. So to forgive those horrible spelling mistakes, they use something called the Levenstein distance algorithm. Basically, this calculates how many edits it takes to turn your messy typo into a real dictionary word. But here's the genius part. They didn't stop there. They combined that math with physical QWERTY keyboard layout proximity. That means the system knows your finger probably just slipped from the W to the S because they're right next to each other. It calculates your spelling distance and your physical finger slips to perfectly guess the date you actually meant. And guys, the results of this math are just wild. Look at the bizarre inputs these natural language parsers could perfectly translate into proper calendared dates. And they did this without relying on massive, expensive AI language models. You can just type M14 and boom, it instantly parses as March 14th. You can literally do math right in the box. Type today plus 9 and it automatically adds 9 days to the current date. You could even throw highly specific, weirdly abbreviated ranges at it, like 9 days after Xmas until Easter, and the parser would perfectly map that out on the back end. It's like magic. But okay, trying to accommodate every single human quirk does come with some hilarious risks. Developer Wes accidentally bloated his software package size to a massive 2 megabytes. Why? Because in his absolute quest to make sure the system recognized every possible holiday a user might ever type, he accidentally shipped literally every world holiday in all of recorded human history into a single text input field. A slight misstep for sure, but you have to admire the absolute dedication to natural human thought. All right, Part 4, Putting it to the test. Real users, real metrics. Because developers just patting themselves on the back isn't actual science, they employed a very strict testing methodology. They brought in 5 real, non-technical users. They had them test the 3 interfaces in completely randomized orders to prevent any bias. Then they asked the users to input tricky things like abbreviations, relative dates, and full ranges. And most importantly, they didn't just ask for vague opinions. They tracked absolutely everything. We're talking clicks, speed, and user ratings, all monitored through an analytics platform called Metrics.
Which brings us to part 5, the surprising results. Time to see who actually won this thing. First up, the overall design category. Wes's date range picker took the crown here with a 4.4 out of 5. And this is classic, right? Developers care deeply about parsing speed and code, but not technical users, they love visual style. Wes included these really interesting color gradients in a large, visually appealing UI, and the testers absolutely ate it up, handing him the design win.
But as we know, design is only skin deep. When it came to the absolutely critical ease-of-use category, Scott's hot date dominated with a massive 4.8. See, the other two solutions kind of stumbled when users inevitably made a mistake and tried to edit a date range. CJ's drop-down suggestion list got a little confusing for some testers, and Wes's interface forced people to frustratingly click back and forth between start and end dates if they needed to adjust them. Scott's streamlined approach kept things truly easy.
The final rating category was magic or joy, basically how delightful the tool actually felt to use. And this was a really tight race. Scott just barely edged out a win with a 4.2 over CJ's 4.0. But what really sealed the deal was the overall speed. The metrics proved that Scott's tool was significantly faster to use than the others. So, sweeping top marks in ease of use, magic, and speed, Scott's hot date takes the overall crown with a composite score of 13.
And finally, part 6, the ultimate UX lesson, the gap between developer theory and user reality.
So the crucial point here, the absolute biggest takeaway from this entire explainer, isn't actually who won. It's the massive gap it exposed between developer psychology and user reality. The developer assumption going into this was that no date picker is the best date picker. They assumed users just wanted to type dates fast. But the user reality? Absolute plot twist. Even if you give someone a flawlessly perfect text parser, users still desperately need to see a visual calendar. Why? Because human beings don't just think in abstract numbers. We need to know, is the 14th a Thursday? Is it a weekend? Text alone just cannot answer that spatial visual question.
Actually, the testing phase provided this incredibly revealing and honestly hilarious anecdote from the source material. One of the developers noted about a tester, quote, "She pulled out a calendar when she was using Scott's and CJ's because she needed a calendar for reference." Just think about that for a second. These developers built a frictionless text-only interface to explicitly save the user from looking at a calendar. And what did the user do? She literally physically pulled out her smartphone calendar app to visually check the dates before typing them into the new interface.
And that right there brings us to the ultimate conclusion of this whole experiment. The absolute best solution isn't one or the other. It is a hybrid. It's the best of both worlds. Users want the blazing speed and typo forgiveness of natural language text input, for sure, but they absolutely require that classic visual calendar grid right next to it as a safety net to immediately confirm their choices.
It's just a brilliant reminder that great design goes way beyond clever code. It is about deeply understanding human behavior. So ask yourself, is your UI making your users think too hard, or are you actually doing the math for them? Take a hard look at the digital products you build, and ask yourself if you're truly designing for how humans actually think. Anyway, thanks for exploring this with me today. Definitely something to think about, and we will catch you on the next explainer.